Yes, folks, New Zealand's ex-police commissioner Mike Bush is a complete muppet. Now, folks, whether you believe this coronavirus is serious or not is completely irrelevant at this point. Because we're in this lockdown mess now and we can't change that. But we can focus on getting out of this mess as quickly as possible and getting back to work. And just maybe, we can save some of this economy. But the powers that be haven't got a clue how to handle this mess. They're still stuffing around at the border. They're still not quarantining everyone arriving in New Zealand. Even the progressive lefty, Heather Duplessis-Allen, has a better handle on this. Have a look.
We should be quarantining absolutely everyone coming home from overseas, and we're not. What we're doing instead is we're only quarantining people who already have symptoms, who don't have plans to self-isolate at home, and who don't have plans to get home by themselves to self-isolate. Everyone else can come in and go into regular self-isolation like the rest of us. So you want to know what the problems with that is? Well, people might not have symptoms yet when they arrive, but they might still be carrying COVID-19 and then getting sick later. In self-isolation, they can still go to the supermarket, so there is still a way that they can make others sick. And really, are we still doing this thing where we're trusting people to do the right thing? Come on. That is how COVID-19 arrived here in the first place. We hoped that people would self-isolate for a couple of weeks after arriving here, and yet, look, we have cases of community transmission that we can't explain. And we've heard countless stories of people ignoring the rules and instead going on helicopter rides. These border controls aren't good enough. We need to go harder. Our cases of COVID-19 are almost all still popping up in people who are travelling here and in their close contacts. And just yesterday, 100 people were stopped at the borders. 8 of them tested positive. Now, I want to be clear about how important quarantining at the border is. This isn't an idea just dreamed up by a layperson like me. This is a call coming from Professor Michael Baker, who, as I've said before, is an advisor to the Health Ministry on how to deal with pandemics. We can't afford to have more cases coming in all of the time and going into the community, because what that will mean is more lockdowns and longer lockdowns.
Yes, the quicker we can quarantine everyone coming into this country, the quicker we can get back to work. And just look at the crap that's still in this country right now.
Get up here! Get up here! Come on! Get up here! We got a photographer! Say hello, good picture. What have you done? Great picture! Photographer up here. Local media up here. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Come on.
Yeah, the police are over there.
There's another 6 policemen there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, please.
Yeah, 2 meters. 2 meters.
Yeah, 2
2
meters.
meters.
Give me the camera.
Yeah, apparently there were about 60 of them there, quite happy to spread the virus around. Anyway, now to the COVID-19 update.
Today there are 76 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 13 new probable cases. There are no additional deaths to report in New Zealand. There are now 92 reported cases that we can confirm have recovered from COVID-19. So the combined total of confirmed and probable cases in New Zealand is now 797. That's an increase of 89 since yesterday. Today, there are 13 people in hospital with COVID-19, including 2 in ICU. All patients are stable. There are more details on our website about just which hospitals those people are in. For those cases that we have information on, we are still seeing a strong link to overseas travel. That is 51% of cases.
Now, what is the point of telling us that when you're still not controlling the border properly? Anyway, now to the Muppet Mike Bush.
I want to finish by saying, some of you may know this is my last day as Commissioner of the New Zealand Police.
Oh, I'm so sorry to see you go because you did such a good job at harassing people in their own homes and silencing free speech.
I'm extremely proud of the people, the 14,000 people inside the New Zealand Police, but also our emergency services partners and everyone in hospitals, private and public, that are on the front line of this response to COVID-19, what they do, the professional way they do it, the courageous way they do it, to keep everyone safe. So can I, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of them for their commitment to their country and to the people of New Zealand. For clarity, I am staying on in my role as part of the all-of-government response to COVID-19 in a role of strategic leadership of the operational response. Kia ora, happy to take any questions. Sure they'll all be for you, Ash.
Commissioner Bush, have the police got their priorities right, given the discussion this morning about people arriving here and self-isolation and your failure to be able to check on them within 3 days?
Yeah, so we've really ramped up in terms of that, as I discussed this morning with the Select Committee, especially in the last 24 hours. I'm aware of the questions that were put. I will say that it's important that we do both, and that's what we are doing. But we had to spend some time to get our system right so that we could ensure that there is compliance around self-isolation. But we've got to, what we're doing is ensuring that there's compliance so there isn't people-to-people and place-to-place transmission of COVID.
Give us some details, though, about the actual, you talked about the technology system in the last 24 hours. Is that texting people? Can you give more detail about what that means?
Sure, and it's always a bit dangerous when someone like myself, who doesn't have a deep understanding of technology but knows...
Oh, that's really, really reassuring. But that's okay because you have a nice uniform with bright, shiny buttons.
What it can do. So people who arrive at the border are asked to give a contact cellular number. The first call they get is from welfare, and to ensure that they're okay and they're in suitable accommodation, they have all they need. They will now, and they have been in the last 24 hours, they then get a text from us saying, look, here's an opportunity for you to engage with us. If you wish to do this, it must be with your consent. Please reply, turn on your location services, and if it's okay with you, we'll be able to monitor where you are.
If it's okay with you, what the hell does that mean? People are catching this virus. People are losing their jobs. The economy is stuffed. And you are asking people if it's okay with you?
That's all we can do, monitor their location, but they must accept.
Why are we asking people for consent when the risk is so high?
Because that's the law, that's the privacy law. We're working this through with the Privacy Commissioner as we speak to ensure that we're compliant. Police have to act lawfully in these occasions.
You're not in contact with anyone at that You're not in contact then with everyone that has come through if they don't give their consent.
That's right. So then we have other methodology of phoning those people, finding out where they are by asking, and all.
Oh, by asking. Yes, we'll find out where they are by asking around.
Also by doing random visits. All of that we're stepping up. But to your point of priority, they're both our priorities.
Just in terms of the location services, if I turn it on my phone, I text you back, you can monitor where I am at all times, or do I need to be texting you the whole time?
That's a very good question. It'd be dangerous for me to answer that in certainty. I think I know the answer, but I'll...
Oh, I think I know the answer. But that's okay because you have a nice uniform with bright, shiny buttons.
Come back to you on it.
So how widespread is the use of that technology so far? How many people are you monitoring?
So I think in the last 24 hours, we've contacted 4,000 people through that, or had 4,000 contacts.
How many of those people you know the location of in New Zealand?
I'm going to come back to you on that.
Do you know how many of that 4,000 have agreed to be monitored?
We are only monitoring the ones who do agree.
So how
as I said, we've made 4,000 contacts in the last 24 hours.
Can you say then?
Can I just clarify, have they all agreed?
We will only monitor those who opt into this, and all it will tell us is where they are at the point they text back.
Do you have enough powers then at the moment to be able to credibly and satisfactorily monitor 4,000 people in a high-risk group who at the moment some are operating on trust?
It's not necessarily the legal authority. The legal authority, I think, is okay, but we're always ensuring that we comply within the law. It was about setting up systems and getting resources. So one of the issues, as I think you would have heard this morning, was getting the information from the border to our front line to ensure that we had that compliance. That's being resolved so that we'll be in a position to ensure across the board that there is compliance.
Can you give a solid assurance that the level of monitoring is what people were told when this option was given to people, that they'd be checked in personally within 3 days, and if it's not happening, isn't that a remaining risk in the community?
That's where we're building to, and we're building to it very quickly.
Yes, we have plenty of time. But that's okay. You have a nice uniform with bright, shiny buttons.
I'd be very happy to come back to you with the precise data on that, but we've moved a significant way during this. This was a really difficult thing to set up in a short space of time. People have done an outstanding job to build that system, so we're in a position. So I totally get the point you're making around the priorities and the importance of this. That's why we're very focused on it.
How many people have come through the border that haven't been checked on within 3 days?
I can't give you that exact data. I think we do have it.
Oh, I think we do have it. But that's okay because you have a nice uniform with bright, shiny buttons.
You said it would be thousands.
I couldn't tell you exactly.
You said that you would go to people. You said that police officers would go to people's houses, though. That was the assurance that you gave us in this room. So a text that gives you a pinpointed location, potentially in that one instance, that's not equivalent to police officers going to these people's houses at all, is it?
It's as good as, but also we'll be doing visiting them as well.
There was a period, though, when, and I understand the logistics, where though there were a lot of people sent out to the community with effectively no checking.
They have been checked on, but we want to ensure that we have the highest rate of compliance and compliance checking.
You've been able to do this now for a number of weeks, and you've just said it's only in the last 24 hours you've been able to contact almost all of them. So has there been a period of time where there has been no checking on some
There's been
many
no
of those?
time when there's been no checking. We've had this process underway since it started, but we're building the capability and the systems to ensure that we get that compliance.
From the 25th of March last week, when those extra border restrictions were put into place, where people had to quarantine or were to be checked on by police, how many people had come through the border that you have not checked in with?
So I'll get you that data. We may have, I'll have to get you the data to determine whether or not there is anyone that hasn't been done, but we'll get that.
The guy hasn't got a clue what he's doing. But on a positive note, folks, our special people are getting special treatment.
Welcome back. Muslims in New Zealand are turning vegetarian as lockdown rules see specialty butchers close their doors too. The Race Relations Commissioner is calling on the government to allow halal butchers and other small food businesses to open. Kristen Hall reports.
A veggie diet is fast becoming the new normal for Farah and Fazana.
Right now we're just eating vegetables and pastas, those kind of things.
With halal butchers shutting up shop around the country, Muslim Kiwis say they're left with no choice but to embrace 5+ a day. With Ramadan coming up, they're hoping the lockdown won't be extended.
We were fasting the whole day, and after that the vegetable is not enough.
Maher Aboud's the only halal butcher still open in Wellington. He says he's received permission from MPI, but that...
Yes, folks, we can clearly see political correctness and political pandering is going on here, and it is absolutely disgusting. The government is asking us to obey the rules, but is looking the other way when it comes to Muslims. And they're also looking the other way when it comes to tourists as well. No one is getting penalised for breaking the rules, just a slap on the wrist. It's absolutely hopeless.